How's it going? Thralls of Metal here. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin, John.
And we're here with another album review. This time we are reviewing the new one from Obscenity, Summoning the Circle. Now, technically, this came out in 2018 across the pond in Germany on Apostasy Records. We just got it now, like the official release date for this one was the 10th, technically.
Oh, alright. So tomorrow.
So tomorrow. But we got it a little bit early, so... Well, technically a little bit late.
Never mind.
Never
Not
mind
important.
Never mind
it's
that.
here and we listen to it, and it kicks ass.
Yeah, this is a death metal band from Germany. These guys have been around since 1989 and putting out very solid, just heavy, awesome death metal, very much in the vein of more along the lines of shit you'd hear that came out in the 90s in Tampa, Florida. Like, it has that distinct feel. Not as much as that European death metal feel, like, you know, no hints of Entombed.
If you wouldn't have told me they were from Germany, I wouldn't have known they were from Germany, to be honest. They sounded like a U.S. band, so...
Yeah, I would have guessed Florida or New York.
Yep, that would have been my guess.
But yeah, this is an awesome release so far. This is the first one with their new vocalist, Manuel Stewart, who does a comparable job. I mean, a little one note, but it's straight up death metal, and you need a guy that can growl his guts out, and he does a great job.
Yeah. Very well produced album.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, as time progresses here and we continue on forth in the years to come, records have an amazing sound to them anyway, and this is just a very well produced sounding record. Very clean, but just crunchy, beefy guitars. The drums on this album are tits.
It has that nice balance of gritty, but also very polished. You can still hear all the instrumentation clearly, which is something I look forward to in death metal, especially because death metal gets very dense
and muddy
ugly.
sometimes. Yeah, so.
And when you can hear all of that different stuff, that is a really refreshing thing because then you can really pick it apart. And this is very just chug forward, nice use of like kind of Slayer-ish melodies. Like there's a lot of thrash on this.
Yes, a lot of speed thrash metal.
It's really good. Like I like the balance. Like you get like a death metal sound like Suffocation or Immolation, and then you mix it with like a more thrashy death metal sound like Deicide, or Monstrosity, or even Malevolent Creation, and it really works well. And the lead work, I think, really stands out here.
Yeah, and it's not in the typical spots where I guess you'd find lead work in death metal. Like a lot of death metal bands like to put it in during a blast beat. This band, however, at least on this album, put it in after like groovy parts, or they would just straight up stop the riff and just throw in a solo, which was really cool. And the solos got progressively better as the record went on.
They varied too. Like you get equal parts, like very shreddy, like what you expect from death metal, like shreddy, technical, like this is fucking ugly and nuts, and then really just pretty harmonies.
Yeah, harmonies everywhere. Every solo I think had harmonies in it, and they just got more elemental. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Who cares?
Epic. I'd say even epic.
Yep.
Like they really, you know, they made that moment stand out with these really nice melodies, especially, you know, sandwiched in between moments of just pure brutality.
Yep.
Like, you know, where did this little lovely moment come from? This is really kind of cool. This makes the song stand out.
I thought we were jamming Deicide, but then it gets kind of mellow deathy. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of the standouts on here for both of us was the song Invocation Obscure, which out of nowhere just comes out blazing like straight up mellow death, like very much the vein of Carcass and At the Gates.
Yep.
And the lead work on that one is probably the most exceptional. Like, not as many like traditional solos as much, but just really tasteful leads thrown over these moments.
Right, and the lead work in this song most specifically was actually kind of lengthy. It kind of, I think probably like 35 seconds or so.
Yeah.
It was cool.
They threw it in. They threw in those moments and repeated them because I mean they probably had to sense that while they were writing. It's like, dude, this is a catchy moment. I'm in this moment. I love that.
Yeah.
Another one with both of us liked was Scourge of Humanity, which like most of the songs just went straight for the throat right out of the get. This one, you know, came out very epic, kind of a spoken word build up, and then slowly kept building the pace. So this one was a good like tension and release sort of beginning. I really liked that.
To me, it had like a lot of Slayer-esque moments in it too, as far as the speed was concerned, and the riffs don't stop in this album. The guitar work is on point for sure.
catchy moments that get stuck in your head, which is something I look for. That for me, that's why I keep repeating and listening to this. I'll definitely jam this one again for sure.
Yeah, I will too. I was really impressed. So,
I mean, it can get somewhat repetitive, but not to the point where it's going to ruin the album. Like, oh my god, I fucking heard this song before.
I've heard this riff 30 times.
They throw in moments that stand out, whether it be like a breakdown or like some sort of big stompy part. There was a part on the song The One's Concerned that had a very bolt thrower feel, even in the kind of stompy like beat to it, and the vocal delivery and pattern just reminded me instantly of Carl Willis just telling us about how much he loves war and battle.
And I think when we say like repetitive, I don't mean like the style of riffs or so much repetitive, so much as like the overall song structure, in my opinion. Like there wasn't a lot of times where it would revert back to a riff they had played earlier, except in the end song, and I'll get into that in a minute. But like the overall way that they wrote songs was it was riff after riff after riff after riff after riff, and like it never repeated anything. So every time you got to latch on to something, it got left behind. For granted, another awesome riff.
Yeah.
But there was no like, okay, I can connect this to a verse chorus type of thing. You know, when you listen to a song, you're like, okay, the verse was cool, the chorus was cool, then the next verse was cool. Well, the next verse didn't lead back to the original riff in the first verse, and that's what I mean by repetition. Not a bad thing.
No, you run into that a lot in death metal too.
For sure.
But I mean, they still there were some parts they did repeat, which I really like. But for the most part, yeah, they wanted to keep going on, and like, oh, we got to dazzle you with more, which is really cool. But you know, sometimes just want a riff to sink your teeth into.
Yeah, yeah. The last song for me, "Let Her Bleed," the closing track, I thought was just a nasty song from beginning to finish. It just had a really nasty opener, heavy riff. Led into like a solid, like kind of Black Dahlia Murder groove. Really, still a fast riff, but a slower drum beat on top of it. So, just great grooves. It even had, in my opinion, kind of like a Lamb of God, kind of Ashes of the Wake style riff in it.
For me, I heard death. I heard definite like Chuck Schuldiner doing his like awesome like little just. Like arpeggio or pregio, whatever.
Arpeggio?
Arpeggio. There we go. I fucked up that word.
Music.
But but yeah, just doing that, it really reminded me of like leprosy era death and maybe even spiritual healing.
Yep.
It was a very distinct moment that I instantly just like that's death.
Yep.
And there was even some Morbid Angel, like, you know, tremolo strumming, like very deep and just sullen and ugly sounding.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, it's a well-written album.
Yeah,
I totally dig this.
They touched on, I think, everything that they needed to touch on. Again, I think there's a lot of, you know, because we listen to so much shit, I think there's a lot of stuff we don't even get to touch on. But you're going to hear a lot of awesome influences in this. It'll definitely be something I personally am going to jam probably when I get in the car and leave
even
here.
If you're a more casual death metal fan, I think this has stuff that anyone could enjoy that already likes death metal.
Yeah, I don't think this is like an overkill by any means as far as like some tech death is or overly brutal. I think a lot of people could jam this album, even people that aren't typically into this style of music, because of how elemental it is and the groovy moments.
Yeah, it carves a wide swath within that one subgenre, and it does a good job. Now, all in all, for a rating, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really like this album, and I'll definitely jam it again.
Yep, I'm also going to give it 4 stars. It was just killer. I have no complaints. Probably would have gone 5. My only complaint was the vocals. The vocals are kind of a one-note thing, which isn't bad. They were well
executed, but maybe some more highs here and there would have been nice to kind of break it up. And they just, you know, death metal is a very cluttered genre too. There's a lot of standouts too, but this is still an awesome album. You know, just 1 star shy from perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if you like this review, give it a like, and if you're a first-time watcher, give us a sub. We do this kind of stuff all the time, and we love to jam music.
Right. We haven't even begun to scrape the surface, really. So.
There's so much coming out, and we would love to review it. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we will catch you later.